Good morning, everyone. In the previous class, we have started with PHP, the basics of PHP, how to create a PHP file and how to get the output using WAMP server and browser. To display an HTML file, only the browser is sufficient. But to display the output of PHP, we need WAMP server as well. I believe you have experimented with a sample file, and today we will see some more concepts that are necessary when you want to process any data acquired from the HTML. You have all the constructs and all the features that are necessary for any coding language. Let me quickly connect to remote machine. Is this remote login screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Okay, great. So I have already started the WAMP server. All the services are running. Now I need to open one editor so that I can edit my PHP file. As we have learned in the previous session, all your PHP files must be stored in your folder of WAMP server. So in my case, since I have installed WAMP server, it is located in C drive, WAMP 64 and www folder. This is the file which we had created in the last session. Let's edit it to learn some more concepts. Okay, so this is the tag in which you can have your PHP code, and just because it is PHP file, it doesn't mean you cannot have HTML. You can embed HTML code using appropriate HTML tags. Since this is purely PHP code, this echo and this variable num is written using PHP syntax. I am using PHP tag, start tag and end tag. So anything that you want to display, any message, it could be plain user message, plain English message, or combination of English message with variable concatenated in between. Both kinds of statements can be displayed using echo. Alternatively, you can also make use of print function. You can copy the same message, use print function, this is one extra addition, parenthesis. So let me go to web browser. Here I need to type localhost / file name. You're also free to have any subfolder if you want. For the sake of proper organization, you can create subfolders within this www and you can move this file. And if you do so, you have to compulsorily mention that folder name as well. So first statement is displayed using echo command and the second statement is displayed using print function. Now you might ask me, I want a different style. For this statement, I want to have CSS property applied. Can I have it as part of PHP? Yes, it is certainly possible. One condition is this statement of yours must be part of certain element. Right now it is a plain statement. It doesn't belong to any HTML element. So if you want CSS style to be applied, treat it as HTML element. This is a paragraph element. You can choose any other element. You can have H3, H4. The choice is up to you. So start and end. Now that this is unique element, I need not explicitly have BR tag. By the time browser renders it as one P element, it automatically adds one new line. Correct. Now I want this statement to be printed in certain color. I want CSS property to be applied. I'll use inline style. So what kind of style you want to apply? Let me choose blue color. Now if you recall the syntax that we followed in HTML discussions, we had used double quote. Remember? Now I am making use of single quote. There is no restriction that you should use double quote or single quote only. But now that you are using print statement, you already have one double quote. So if you use another double quote, this will be treated as one statement. So to avoid that confusion, I am making use of single quote. Let's verify if this works. Yes. So whatever style you have applied, that is reflected on this page. Now what if you want to use double quote only? You want to have uniformity, be it PHP or HTML code. Now the moment I change this to double quote, you can see that further statement is also changed in color because it thinks this is one statement, end of statement. So if you want to escape that, use escape sequence. So I want to minimize this. I don't want to add this escape sequence. So I prefer using single quote. This is about adding style to element within PHP code. So this is just one example. Similarly, you can have any other CSS attribute and property pair. You know how to deal with variables and how to display a loop, how to have a loop as part of PHP and accessing individual elements. Now we will see how to create array in PHP. All of you are very well familiar with array concept, and all the arrays that you have studied till now are of this format. Suppose you have a list which is treated as array, and say you call it as num list. Then we can access individual element using index. Correct? Very obvious. So if you refer to element in this fashion, it means you are accessing the element 20. We have such arrays in PHP as well, and this is called enumerated array, meaning each element in the array can be accessed using index value, which is an integer. Apart from this, there is one more type called associative array. What is the difference? Now this associative array is not just collection of homogeneous element. It is something like pair of key value. Say you have book title and its author. For example, if you have an array something like this, say CN book, Tenenbaum, then ADS, I should have written within double quote because both key and value are strings, ADS, CLRS. Even this is an array. This pair is one element, first element, and this is second element. So these are not collection of homogeneous values like numerical values or purely string values. You can have combination of different types. But of course, if you want to have key as string, then all of them should be string and values should also follow the same data type. This is associative. As the name says, each value is associated with its key. It is the key that decides the value. So whenever you want to fetch, say the author of ADS textbook and assume this array name is auth, short for author, then you will access it in this way, auth array, and the key is ADS. Suppose you display it using echo command, then this will print CLRS as the value. The only difference is you don't have integer index value. In place of index value, in place of number 0, 1, 2, you have certain key values. Okay, so now we will see how to create enumerated arrays and also associative arrays and some useful functions that will help you to process the array so that it is very useful when you deal with form data. See, all the functions that we are discussing, it's not just for the sake of learning language features. These are very useful when you deal with form data. You know how to create a form using HTML code. So when a user submits certain data, how do you store that? How do you deal with that? So all the blocks, all the features that we are studying now will be helpful in order to process that data. We'll come to handling form later, but prior to that, it is important that we study the basic features provided by PHP. Let me comment this. Before we move on to array concept, here is one function that will help you know information regarding the local host that you are operating upon, on which you have installed WAMP server, and also regarding PHP, which version are you using and what is the engine configuration, etc. So that one single function displayed all these details. So this is the version that I am using on my machine. So it's a Windows machine, service pack version, compiler using architecture. So where is the configuration file located for PHP? Okay, so if you want any detailed information regarding PHP, so this is the standard function that you have to call. Now let me create one array. Let it be a string array. You need to explicitly call array function. And within this array function, since it's a function, The keyword array should be followed by a pair of parentheses, and I want to create a string array. So I'll write the values within single quote. You can also write within double quote, not a problem. So one array is created, and as I said, if you want to access any particular element, then you can do so by using the index value. I want to access the last element 0, 1, 2. So this is one sentence, and I want to have certain element from this array, so I'll access that using index value. So that was straightforward. You are already familiar with this syntax, aren't you? The only addition is this dollar symbol, because all the variables in PHP start with dollar symbol. Now let's quickly type or display all the array values using a loop. Almost similar to your for loop in other languages, except this dollar symbol. So as long as I is less than length of array. I don't want to hard code the value. Instead, I'll use a function that fetches me the size of array. This is one mistake that we tend to commit frequently because we are not used to it. Don't forget this. You need to have dollar symbol as part of index as well. One below the other, all the values are printed. Apart from for, you can also make use of for each loop. We had this in Java also, remember? So followed by for each keyword, I type the array name, then as keyword, then any local variable. How does this for each loop work? In the first iteration, this variable temp will hold the value of first element. Second iteration, second element. Third iteration, third, and so on. And within this loop, you just need to type that variable. These three were displayed using regular for loop, and the next set using for each loop. It's not complicated, just that you need to get familiar with the syntax. In Java and in C++, and in C language, whenever you wanted to let go of the memory, you had used delete and free operators. Similarly, in PHP, if you want to release any variable, when you are sure you don't want a particular variable or array anymore in the program, then you can release that using unset function. Unset variable name. Now after that, if you try to access any element part of the same array, let's see what happens. These statements were displayed before I called unset function, and soon after calling unset function, meaning I destroyed the array element, I'm not able to access the variable birds. PHP engine is unable to recognize that because it's been destroyed using unset. So only in this statement, the first place which should have been parrot is missing, and hence you have the error. So this is one good thing about PHP. Unlike HTML, wherein you cannot spot any error, you won't get to know where the error lies. But in PHP, just as any other programming language, when you make any mistake, along with the line number, the message will be displayed. So that will help you to debug your error. This is not just for array, it's valid for any variable. Now let's see if it is possible to delete only one element. Instead of entire array, I am trying to destroy only one element, and then I'll try to access other element which I assume should be present. Yes, this is valid. After this, I deleted last element and I tried to access other element, and it works fine. So you need to take a call. Do you want the entire array to be destroyed or only the individual values? When you deal with coding, there are certain situations when you want to have data structure for organized storage of data. You have implemented stack and queue in C. You can also implement them in other languages, of course. Now let's see if I can have a mechanism to grow the array and shrink it. Conventionally, an array size is fixed, correct? You create it once and that's the end of it. But in PHP, it is possible to grow one array just like a stack or queue and also shrink it as and when required. This is possible with the help of certain functions that are built in nature. You have array pop, I'll comment that and create one new array. So once I create, I want to treat it as a stack. So I can pop one element and this pop function will take array name. I can also push the elements onto this stack. Though it is array, I can treat it as a stack. And this push function need to know what's the array name followed by numbers. You can add as many numbers as you want. There is no restriction. You have to insert one element at a time or so. 2, 3, any number you can insert, not a problem. Now after this, let's display the values. Originally, the array was holding 10, 20, 30. Then I popped it. So it was 30, which was removed. And then I added 40 and 50. Same as your stack. Correct? So these two are functions. These two are one among those functions which help you to grow and shrink the array. But these are not the just two functions. There are some more. Let me list those. Array underscore shift. Array underscore unshift. Can anyone guess what these functions do based on the argument? I have shift function and also unshift, and these are the arguments to respective functions. Anyone? I told you that these functions help you to grow or shrink the array. Do you think shift function will grow the array or shrink it? Please respond.
So it will remove the first one.
Okay. And what about unshift? It will add. Correct? Because I am passing certain values. Okay. So let's check if our guess is correct or not. So 10, 20, 30. 30 is gone. This is not code, whatever I am typing now. Among these, 30 is gone. Then 40, 50 got added. And then what did I do? I shifted the element. So when I use shift function, it removes the element from the left. So it removes 10. When you use pop function, it removes from the right. And if you use shift, it removes from the left. Understand the difference. And then I call unshift, which will add 3 elements. And they will add from the left. 60, 70, 80. And this is what you got as part of your output. Okay? You just need to remember the function and the direction in which the elements will be added or removed. This is about enumerated array. Now we will see how can we have associative array. As I told, associative array is collection of key value. Here the key is index, which is whose format is fixed 0, 1, 2. Now instead of integer value as key, we can have any other data type. Let me comment it and create one associative array. Now instead of title and author, we can have any other concept also. I'll have country, nation, and its capital. I'll create it in this fashion. This is one of the ways in which you can create associative array. Capital of this country. Here cap is the associative array name. Okay, so this is first element. Let me copy it and just change the key value. This is key and this is value. Instead of 0, 1, 2, we have a string. Now my associative array is ready. This is one of the ways in which you can create associative array. Another way is to write the associative array name and then call the array function. And within this you can have key value pair. And you need to have one arrow, equal symbol followed by angular bracket. This is first element, and then add a comma and add another element. So whichever way you want to follow, you can use that. There is no restriction. Both work in the same way. Now that associative array is ready, I need only one. So I'll comment this. I'm not deleting, I'm just commenting so that I can share this file with you later. Now what if you want to print this associative array? It's not regular array which can be displayed with for loop. Using the well-known method, taking a loop variable and just access individual element using index variable. It is slightly different here. Use for each loop, and as part of parenthesis you write the associative array name. So this will be in each iteration interpreted in this way. Now these are a loop variable. This corresponds to key, meaning country name, arrow, and then city. How do you interpret this? In the first iteration, this corresponds to India, city corresponds to New Delhi. Second iteration, nation is Canada and city is Ottawa, and so on. And then within your loop, you can just type the variable name. So you can add any other uh, symbol or any text, something like so. This is more meaningful. So you can use key value in this fashion as part of certain statement. Okay. Now there could be situation when you want to extract only the keys, and in some situations you want to extract only the values. You are concerned with only the capital cities. So in that case you don't want to have this for each loop and iterate taking the value of both the pairs. So how can we extract only one side? Suppose you want to have only the keys, then make use of this function array underscore keys of this associative array, and this will return one array. Now this array, now it is not associative array. This nation, $nation is one enumerated array which you can treat like any other ordinary array. And if you want only the values, any guesses? Array underscore values of this associative array. Now I won't display the content again. Array is ready. Sorry, I should have changed the name. So this once the enumerated array is ready, you can use it for further processing or to display respective values. Okay, I hope this is clear. It's not difficult. Now let's see if there is a way to sort these arrays, especially these associative arrays. After adding a lot of elements as part of associative array, maybe you want to have the values in certain order. And again, when you want to have order, it could be dependent only on the keys or only on the values. You might want to have this array based on the order referring to countries. You want the countries to be in sorted order and their respective capital cities, or you want to have these cities in the order, order based on cities. Now let's see how can I sort this array cap based on the countries. I want Australia to be printed first and then Canada followed by India, ACI. Anyway, we already have the loop to display array content. Can anyone tell me what are these called? India, Canada and Australia. Of course they are countries, but what is the name in relation to the associative array?
Key.
Correct. So I want to sort this array based on the keys. Hence the function name is ksort. I am sorting the array based on the keys. Ksort and give the array name. Now before refreshing, remember it is in the order as it was created, ICA. Now I expect A, C and then I. Did I save that? Yes, it is saved. Let me refresh. So change is reflected, A, C and I. Now if you want in reverse order, call kr sort, meaning sort the array in reverse order based on the key values. Keys. Let me avoid the confusion, based on the keys. ICA. Assume you want to sort it based on the value, not the keys, not the index, but purely based on the values, which is capital city in our example. So it's not key, you have to type A. Now this stands for array sort. You can also use this for regular array, enumerated array. And if you relate this with associative array, what's the major difference? Instead of string, what is the key there in enumerated array? Number, starting with 0, 0, 1, 2 and so on. So you are not sorting based on this index, instead you are sorting based on purely on values. So whenever you want to sort an associative array based on values, or you want to sort a regular array, traditional array, then go for A sort. Now in this case, the output would be Canberra, New Delhi and Ottawa, C, N and O. Please mute your audio. CNO. Let's verify. Yes. Don't focus on this part. We have sorted based on value C, N and O. If you want in reverse order, just insert the letter R, so that it will sort in descending order based on the values. ONC. This is about associative array and enumerated array. I hope this is clear. Since you are very well familiar with many programming languages, understanding this wouldn't be difficult. The only thing is you need to practice and remember. That's it. Now let me tell you about conversion between array and string. Suppose there is a string of food items, there are 4 food items, but I have created them as one string variable. So all these are part of single string. Now I want this to be in the format of an array. Assume this is the way a user has entered as part of his form. He doesn't have idea about arrays. So you have asked a user to enter these details separated by a slash. And later, once you fetch the data from HTML form, you want to store it as an array. Let's say the array name is food R. I'm purposely taking meaningful variable names to avoid confusion. Now how do we store this as array? This is one string, and you know that items are separated by this slash. So I am going to call a function that will explode this string into pieces. It's one single item. I'm I'm going to call a function which will explode this string into pieces separated by this character, and the function name is explode. You are going to explode this string, which is food str. What's the condition? You need to explode it in the places where this character is present. Now this is one array. You can treat it as array. Earlier it was string, now I can display it one by one, each of the items, using for each loop. So remember this function. Whenever you want to store any data entered by the user into array, you are going to explode the particular string based on certain character. Now you can also ask the user to enter items separated by comma. You might have encountered such message on certain websites. Enter the data separated by comma. How are you going to change this? Instead of slash, replace it with comma. Output remains the same. You can also have a space instead of comma. So here this character is, separation character is a space. So there shouldn't be any change in our output. However, you need to take care that this string should have uniform character. You cannot have comma in one place, space in another, and slash somewhere else. No, this is not done. You need to maintain the uniformity for explode function to work. Alright? Now, assume you have an array ready, but you want to join it as a string. Let me take this example. Number list. Array is there, but I want to join these elements into a string. I want to store it as a string. May not be for storing purpose. For display purpose, string will do. So this string, this variable $num_str will store these values as a string. I am going to join the values. And how are you going to join the values? Are you using any special character? Mention that and then write the array name. And since it is a string, I don't need any for loop or for each loop to display the value. I'll just echo that, echo num_str. So these food items were a string and we exploded it and displayed it as array elements, and these values 10, 20, 30, it was array. They were part of an array, but we joined them separated by colon using join function. So we learned how to convert string to array and array to string. Now, apart from join, there is one more word which you can use, which is rhythmic with this explode function. Join is more meaningful, no doubt. However, you can also write implode function, which works same as join function. Explode, implode. So if you are more comfortable with the word join because that is more meaningful, go for join. Else, implode will also do the job. Okay. So this is all about array functions, and there are many options for the same functions, so that you can refer from the official documentation page. There are many options for these explode and implode functions themselves. So I encourage you to refer the documentation and check what are those options and practice them. Okay. Now before we sign off, let me quickly discuss about string functions. We are not going to demonstrate because you have enough exposure to string concept even in Java. You also have studied them as part of C and C language and to some extent in C++. So I am going to just give you the list of string functions and you will practice them. You will check their output by writing in a PHP file. So all that you need to do is declare a variable str, assign some value, and then you write echo followed by this function. So that will help you in understanding what will be the output of particular function. So here it's a no-brainer. This function will obviously give you the string length, correct? And this will give you the word count. This will reverse the string, and this will give you the position of pattern within the text. Some functions are self-explanatory, and apart from that you have replace, to lower, to upper, and then we discussed join. So I want you to try these functions out and see what would be the output. We discussed explode, and then there is substring function to extract a part of a string, not entire string. A sub part of the string can be extracted. And then there is trim function. If you have any space, assume here is a string, there is space, then value, again space, and it ends. Now for storage purpose and for all further processing, you don't want this space. It doesn't make any sense to have space before and after the word. Use trim function. It will remove this space so that it is convenient to store and use it for further computation. And then there is encryption function. Check what would be the value for particular string. Is that okay? Just assign one value to string variable and echo the output. That's it. No complicated logic. And in the next session I'll tell you why this trim function is necessary. How is it helpful when we deal with HTML form, and also significance of this SHA1 function. And I have also given you link to official documentation on PHP. If you want to explore more options on the same functions, you can visit this page. Okay, I'll share this document so that you can try and come prepared for tomorrow's class, wherein we will discuss the significance of certain functions among these. Alright then, that's it for today's class. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.